Hey guys, welcome to the show. I am your host, Mr. Marcus White, and this is the comment section. So I'm sure everyone's wondering, where is your co-host David? Well, David decided to quit the show. No, I'm joking. David and I actually recorded an episode yesterday, and I brought in one of a blogger friend who's actually, to me, really, really well known and famous. You guys should know who he is. So the three of us recorded an episode yesterday, and my dumb fucking ass deleted the episode. Don't ask how, don't ask why. It's too much to explain if you don't know the website that we record the podcast on. So, David and my blogger friend were not able to record another episode. So I was like, you know what, the show must go on. I have to get this out there, even if I have to record it myself. So here I am by myself. It's weird because obviously this podcast is always two hosts. But for those who've been following me since YouTube, I started alone, so I should be fine doing this alone. But I do like to have conversation with other people, which is why I always prefer to have a co-host on any platform that I'm doing. I love to listen to conversation, and if you guys are like me, I'm sure you all like to listen to conversation with more than one person talking, if that makes sense. I like for people to share their opinions and their perspective on things, and me share my opinions and perspective. That to me makes a good podcast, not just one person talking about themselves. So I really do hope that you still enjoy this episode with me talking. And I wanted to really record today because, we took a hiatus. We took a holiday break. We didn't have a new episode last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. And so much has happened. So I'm like, I have to put an episode out there because I have to talk about Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker divorcing. I just cannot believe that they are splitting up. I never would imagine that they would ever separate. We watched them fall in love with each other. We all thought that they were each other's soulmate. So when the news broke that Kandi filed for divorce, I was shocked. Well, if you follow me on my Instagram page, Mr. Housewives, I did say that I knew about the separation a couple hours before the announcement was made. And I didn't believe it. I had a source that told me that the news broke on a Friday. I was told that Thursday night. So we all know that BravoCon took place 2-3 weeks ago, and Kandi was at BravoCon, and I guess she was telling her friends at BravoCon, I don't know the friends exactly, but probably her former co-hosts or former cast members on Atlanta Housewives, and other housewives as well. She was telling people there that her and Todd were no longer together. And of course, that was shocking news to them as well. And they probably told their friends, and then their friends told bloggers. So that's probably how it fell into my lap the Thursday, the day before the announcement was made. And so when my source told me that they were separated, I didn't believe them. I did not believe them whatsoever. I thought that they probably are just feeding me BS. Sometimes sources, I should have really listened to the source because they never lied. But sometimes sources just tell, stuff based off their own intuition or their own gut feeling. Because then I went back and I looked at Kandi's photos, and I did notice that Kandi did stop wearing her wedding ring since June. The last time she actually took a photo with a wedding ring on was in June. And then I went to go look at Todd's photos, and Todd was wearing his wedding ring up until that day, So I was like, okay, people are probably assuming that they're splitting up because Kandi isn't wearing the wedding ring, but I just assumed that maybe, Kandi's weight always has fluctuated from small to big to small. And I just thought that maybe she just lost weight and her ring doesn't fit her anymore. So she's not able to wear her ring. And so that's the reason why I didn't initially believe it. And then, like I said, for those who follow me on my blog page, I did make a post talking about the rumor. And then Kandi told People magazine that they were divorcing maybe 2-3 hours after I uploaded my post. Heartbreaking news. Very, very heartbreaking news to hear. Their divorce is more sad. It's really, really sad. I don't think there's any in the Housewives universe. I don't think there's a divorce that shocked me. Maybe Kyle and Mauricio shocked me like this. Like, I was shocked when Kyle and Mauricio from Beverly Hills, I was shocked when they divorced. But I wasn't shocked when Teresa Giudice and Joe Giudice divorced. I wasn't shocked when Dorit and PK divorced. I wasn't even shocked when Nene and Greg divorced. Because at least for those people, those couples, we saw them having we saw it leading up to a divorce when we watched them on their franchises. We watched Nene and Greg argue episode after episode. We watched PK and Dorit argue after episode. We knew Teresa was going to divorce Joe after he put her in prison, so that wasn't so much of a shock to us. But we never seen Kandi and Todd actually argue on camera. They always seemed like they were each other's soulmates. Of course, they bickered, but nothing to where the audience is like, oh, I can see them divorcing in a year or two. At least that's from my perspective. I never saw it. I don't know if any of you saw it, but I'm assuming that none of you have what's catching the signs. So I know everyone's wondering, why did Kandi and Todd split up? Well, this week, according to People magazine, Kandi had mentioned that she had caught Todd talking to multiple women as in plural, which again shocked me. I never would have thought that Todd would ever cheat on Kandi. Todd didn't seem like that tight. I know that Portia tried to put that rumor out there a couple seasons ago, saying that he used the name Marvin when he went to go to New York City, but I don't think any of us would believe that. Like I said, we never got signs that Todd and Kandi were having issues in their marriage. But now it just makes me wonder, who is the woman? Or the women, I should say. Who are these women? Because the blogger Funky Dineva said that he knows the woman, or one of the women, and we all know one of the women. And when we find out, she's going to be crucified against the world. And I'm like, oh, could this be a former Atlanta housewife? Or could it be a current Atlanta housewife? Wouldn't it be shady if Phaedra Parks was one of the women? Wouldn't that would be so scandalous? That would be so good. Oh, the way my mind works, so evil. But wouldn't that be good if it was Phaedra Parks? I don't think it's Phaedra. I'm just putting out an evil theory. But I wonder if it's someone that was on The Housewives, or if it's someone who is known on reality television. Todd lives in Atlanta, so what if it's a woman from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta? Or what if it's one of the women from the show Little Women Atlanta? Little Women Atlanta is the show with Miss Juicy Baby and Minnie. Rest in peace, Minnie. She died in 2020 in the car accident. But what if it's someone from Little Women Atlanta? I'm sure Todd doesn't really, have a preference. He's close to being their height. He's a short man. So I just wonder if it's someone that since Funky Dineva said we all know her, I wonder if it's a reality star. But it could be a singer. Yeah, I'm just shocked. I really am shocked. Todd did file for custody of his 2 children that he shares with Kandi, Ace and Blade. He filed for that petition on the 26th of November. And then Kandi this week filed for custody of their 2 children as well. Todd, in his argument, according to the lawyer, said that he is filing for custody because Kandi has been working out of town, and he feels like this is the best move. Todd is saying that this is a temporary custody agreement. He doesn't want it to be permanent until Kandi moves back home, but something tells me that he's going to try to make it permanent if he is granted temporary custody, if that makes sense. I think that he's going to try to get out of paying child support, because we all know that Kandi makes a lot more money than Todd, and Todd will probably be, if Kandi gets custody of the 2 children, I'm sure that Todd will be sentenced to having to pay child support. Or maybe not. Maybe Kandi trusts Todd to actually give him money for the children. Maybe she won't go through the courts to get a court mandated or court ordered, I should say. Maybe she has trust in Todd because I can't see really Todd doing something like he wouldn't be supporting his kids if it wasn't court ordered. But then again, I wouldn't have thought that Todd would have cheated on Kandi either. So I guess I really don't have an opinion because I don't know these people whatsoever. I am assuming that maybe these two will get back together. I said that initially when I heard that when we found out that they were divorcing. I was like, maybe this would be like a Nene and Greg. Maybe they need to separate to miss each other and to realize that they actually love each other, and then they'll get back together 2 years later. I just really feel like they were soulmates. And not that I will ever want someone to get back with a cheater, because Kandi says he was talking to women. She didn't say that he was ever cheating. Talking and cheating are two different things. You know, to me, cheating is having sex with someone. Talking is just, you know, you're talking to women, you're flirting with them. That to me is talking. And both are wrong, but obviously cheating is a lot worse than talking. So maybe they can work it out. You know, and I feel like they both probably divorced because they both are business people who work out of state a lot. They don't work with each other that much. They don't see each other that much. And when you don't spend that much time with your spouse, yes, sometimes your eyes do stray and things can happen. But maybe if they go through marriage counseling, maybe if they start to spend more time together, live in the same state, work in the same state, maybe they can find love again between the two of them. Like I said, I'm not trying to support cheating or any of that nature. I'm really not. But I can understand how it can happen if two spouses do not live in the same state and if you don't really see each other as often as a spouse would. Am I making sense? I am recording early in the morning. I'm not a morning person whatsoever. My thoughts take a while to get to me. I hate mornings. Mornings are not my favorite. I just hate anything in the morning. Having to go to work or doing anything in the morning should be illegal. If it was up to me, I would start my day at 12 or 1 p.m. You know, if I was president, I would make jobs and businesses open at 12. But that means we have to stay later at work. Ooh, never mind. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. So yeah, Kandi and Todd. I'll keep you all updated, of course, about what the latest is. But I am hoping that they can get back together. You know, poor Ace and Blaze. Damn, I really thought that Ace and Blaze would be raised with two parents and under one household. I really thought that was going to happen with them. But I'm still holding on hope. You know what? Another thing that happened while the comment section was on break, Shah is getting out. So, like a year early. She's getting out next Wednesday, December 10th, I think. Yeah, December 10th. She's getting out. So we all know that Shah was on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison for a nationwide telemarketing fraud scheme. She had stolen $10 million from victims. $10 million this woman stole. Like for 10 years. And then her dumbass came on to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City to flaunt this money that she stole. The nerve of her. The nerve of her. Well, she's getting out next Wednesday. She only served 33 months in prison out of the 6-year sentence, which I don't know how she got out so early. She only was in jail for 2 years, a little over 2 years. How did you get out of jail so early? Like, that is insane to me. At a 6-year sentence, let me go back. It was supposed to be an 8-year sentence. All right. They knocked off 2 years, said that she can serve 2 years probation after she gets out of prison. So they gave her 6 years in prison and then 2 years probation. And now you're getting out after 33 months. Whew, she must have gave someone a good blowjob. Andy Cohen recently said that she is not welcomed back on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, nor is she welcomed back on Bravo, which is not a surprise to me. She stole money from victims. She got $10 million from victims. So this is how she did it. If you guys don't know, these people owed money. They were in debt. They owed money to, I don't know, student loans or the electric bill. They owed money to people. Jen got a list of people that owed money. All right. She then called people and said, I work for so-and-so, the company that they owed money to. And let's start a payment plan so we can get you out of this, I don't know, $6,000 debt. This is not factual. Like the verbiage I'm using isn't factual. I'm just like, just giving you guys I'm just trying to explain how she scammed these people. So she called these people. I see that you owe the electric company $4,000. Let's get you out this debt. If you pay us $33 a month, eventually you will get out of debt. So she did this to many people who are in debt, and that's how she scammed people. These people were not paying off any debt that they were in. They were just adding more debt to themselves. They were just putting money in her pocket. That's an evil person. That's an evil person. And most of her victims were elderly people who weren't tech savvy or who actually believed that she was working for the company that they had debt in. And I just recently found this out. There was a veteran, I don't know from which war, but there was a veteran that ended up paying her over $100,000. And I don't know how much debt he was in, all right, for you to end up paying $100,000. But once he found out that he was $100,000 in the hole, he killed himself. He committed suicide. And for a person like Jen Shah and all the people that were working with her doing this evil scheme, for them to do that to somebody and be the cause of someone's suicide, I'm just surprised that they're not being held liable for that death. When kids bully other kids and the victim commits suicide, that bully, there's charges pressed against that bully. I don't know what the verbiage is called, but I think it's something like, manslaughter. You push them to their death. And I'm so surprised that for that veteran who committed suicide, I'm surprised that Jen Shah and all her people that did that weren't being held liable for that, responsible for that. So I'm not shocked that she's no longer welcome on Bravo. I said this when she went to prison, that she'll never be on Bravo ever again. Her crimes are different than Teresa's and Karen's and Wendy's, where they're doing stuff against the government. They're not, taking away money from victims themselves, from innocent people themselves. That makes sense. Karen got a DUI. Teresa did bankruptcy fraud. Wendy Osefa is being accused of doing insurance fraud. These are things that they put themselves in by trying to scam the government or doing illegal activities like drinking and driving, where Jen Shah is taking money from innocent people and then joining a reality show flaunting that money. It's all pride. Jen Shah is very prideful for the fact that you thought that you could continue to get away with this and come on a reality show and show off your millions of dollars. You're an evil person. You're no shorter than Hitler and Osama bin Laden. Oh, am I taking it too far? Well, Osama bin Laden and Hitler did kill people. And the veteran that I just mentioned, he did commit suicide. So that's neck and neck to me. All right. Two peas in a pod. I do think that Jen Shah will be on some type of reality show in the future. I don't think that we will not see her on TV again. She probably will get some deal with Hulu or TLC to do maybe like a Love After Lockups type of show. Maybe we'll see her. Maybe we'll see her on TV to see how she's trying to get back in society, and things of that nature. I do see that happening for her. And I do see her writing a book and trying to sell that book, to make money, because she owes $6 million in restitution. So she got to pay that $6 million back or she'll end up back in prison. So I can see her doing some type of reality show or writing a book. Now, Jen Shah, not that I'm supporting you, but if you're listening to me, the only way that you can actually sell this book is if you actually tell the truth. If you sit here and say, this is how I did it. This is why I did it. If you tell the truth in this book, that's the only way it will sell. Just similar to O.J. Simpson. Remember, O.J. Simpson was accused of killing his ex-wife, Nicole Simpson. All right, he was found not guilty. But then a couple years later, he wrote a book titled If I Did It, which went to detail of how he would have killed Nicole if he did it. But we all can read between the lines. It was a tell-all book of how he killed Nicole. And he can't he can't go back to trial for something that he's found not guilty on. So he could, write the book. He actually could say, I killed Nicole. and nothing could happen to him because he was found not guilty. So Jen, if you want to sell this book, if you are going to write a book, if you really want to sell this book and be, part of New York's bestseller, say how you did it and why you did it, and go into detail too. Try to remember the conversations you had when you called people. We're going to be disgusted with you. We're going to hate you. We're never going to support you ever again. But if you want to sell a book, that's how you do it. Like I said, I'm not trying to support you, but because I would read the book. I would be really interested in knowing how you did this for over 10 years. And what were the conversations like when you talked to these victims? And then did you feel bad about it afterwards, or did you not give a damn? And Jen, be honest. If you didn't give a fuck, say that in the book. I did not give a fuck. I need you to be honest if you write a book. And by the way, here's a thought too, Jen. Bravo's never going to welcome you back on their network. But maybe Hulu will. Maybe you can join that Hulu show, The Secret Wives of Zach and Cody, whatever that fucking show is called. The wives with the show with all, like, there's like 10 Mormons on the show. I think it's maybe The Secret Wives of the Mormons. I don't know. It's like on this 4th season. I never watched it, but I heard it's really, really good. And they all live in Salt Lake City. So, that's easy for Jen to do. Bravo's not letting her back on the show. So maybe Hulu will let her on their network and she can join that show, and then you can torment those women. Just a thought, Jen, if you're listening to my podcast. I think you have me blocked though. I think you blocked me on Instagram. Her and I got into like some type of disagreement years ago. And she DM'd me. I had some information about something that Heather Gay said about her behind her back. And I don't know how she found out, but she found out I knew that Heather Gay told me something. She DM'd me. I refused to tell her. So then she blocked me and then put me on blast. This is before the Mr. Housewives blog page. This is back when I was just on YouTube and I just had my own personal page, but yeah. Oh, well, we'll see you next Wednesday, Jen Shah. So good luck to you. Should I be wishing her luck though? I'm in a good mood today. I'm being nice to everybody. Maybe not. Never mind, Jen Shah. No luck to you. We'll see you next Wednesday. Housewives of Beverly Hills. Did you all watch? Because I watched last night. I like Beverly Hills. I think that they all have a genuine friendship with each other. They kind of remind me of the old New York Housewives, where, the New York City Housewives are all friends with each other. You got Ramona, Luann, Dorinda, Sonia. They all were friends with each other. And, Beverly Hills is nothing like New York, where they're with chaotic and spontaneous energy. But they do have a genuine friendship together. Rachel Zoe, she joined this season as a full-time housewife. Zoe, or is it Rachel Zoe? I think it might be Rachel Joe. Rachel Zoe had a show on Bravo called The Rachel Joe Project. She's a fashion designer. I want to say she does have merchandises, cookware, makeup line, maybe clothes as well. But she's a big deal. She was a big deal in the early 2000s. She used to style Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie. That's when I knew her, back when she was styling Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton, because I was a big fan of The Simple Life. She's a full-time housewife, and I actually thought that Rachel would be boring on the show. Rachel's not really a confirmation, or she doesn't like confirmation. She doesn't like confrontation. She's not a confrontation type of person. And so I was like, I don't know how this will actually work with Rachel. But I actually enjoyed Rachel in this premiere. She surprised me. She was open about her divorce that she's going through with her husband of 18 years. She has 2 boys, I think 110 and 113. But she's really open about the divorce that she's going through right now. And when she met with the other women, she was asking questions that the audience been wanting someone to ask these women. Like, she asked Kyle, "Are you dating?" And when Kyle said, "No, she's not dating," well, why aren't you dating? She was asking Kyle, how did you feel when you saw Mauricio kiss another woman and it ended up being in the blogs? And she asked Dorit the same thing. Like, she's asking questions and being shady as well, that I don't think that we've seen on Beverly Hills. Only person to do that was Sutton. And those women bit Sutton's head off when she asked those questions. So it was kind of refreshing to see Rachel ask these questions and these women answer with their honest opinion. I enjoy that. So Rachel, I may enjoy you on this show. I did predict when I heard that you were joining the show, I did predict that you will be a season wonder. And even though this is only the first episode, my mind can change as we go along with the season. But I was slightly impressed with you in last night's premiere. I'm gonna be like, I think we're gonna really like you a lot. What else happened in last night's premiere? It wasn't really an action-filled premiere. It wasn't really much drama. These women were just talking about things that happened at last season's reunion and things that has happened in between the reunion and filming the new season. And nothing that we, the audience, had already didn't know. Like, we already knew PK was making out with a woman. We got to see Dorit's reaction when she was talking to Boz about that. We already knew about Mauricio and all the women that he's been making out with because of TMZ. So we got to see Kyle talk about that with her daughters. By the way, I cannot believe they all are grown. The only one that is still a baby is Portia. I think she's 17 or 18. But all of the other daughters, the three other daughters, are all, and they look it too. Like, where did the time go? I just remember back when they looked like children. And now they all look my age. Not saying that they look old. I'm just saying that they all look mature. The one is 29. She recently got married. They talked about her engagement in yesterday's premiere. I just can't believe how they grew up so quickly. I feel old. I feel really, really old. And they're all so beautiful. They all look alike. All her children look alike. I don't know who they actually look like, her or Mauricio, but the daughters they all look like they could be twins. Where I can't tell any of them apart, honestly. And they all sound alike. Just a beautiful family. Kyle, you have really, really beautiful daughters. If I were straight, I would love to date one of your daughters, Yeah. If I were straight, that would be my type. Just someone just so beautiful. And I think it's because of their race too. Half white, half Mexican. Just a beautiful combination. Right, guys? Do you guys agree? Yeah, but there wasn't really much that happened in the premiere. I'm looking at my notes trying to see what happened. Sutton talked about her and Garcelle's falling out. Now, we all know Garcelle Bouvet quit the show last season. She walked off the reunion. She unfollowed all the women, including her former BFF Sutton. Sutton says that she doesn't know what happened between her and Garcelle, why Garcelle unfriended her, why Garcelle isn't returning her text messages and phone calls. And it's sad that, Sutton doesn't know, because we know. Garcelle defended Sutton for the 5 or 6 seasons that she was on the series. And Sutton never defended Garcelle. She would let Garcelle get eaten up by these women. But when Sutton was getting eaten up by these women, Garcelle defended her. Am I making sense? Do you all understand what I'm saying? And that's the reason why Garcelle unfriended Sutton, because at their reunion, she was getting hit left and right by these women. And Sutton was quiet as a church mouse. So if Garcelle was like, if I'm always defending you for the past 5-6 years, why can't you ever have my back? And the fact that Sutton is sitting up here saying she doesn't understand why Garcelle's angry with her speaks volumes, Sutton. And I like you, Sutton. I think since you joined the show, I've always liked you. I've always defended you on my blog page when everyone says that you are not an important person, that you should be fired, that you should be demoted. Like, I like Sutton. But now I'm seeing a different side of you, Sutton, because I thought that you would own up to your wrongdoing in the breakup between you and Garcelle. And the fact that you're just sitting here saying, I have no idea, I don't know what happened, just speaks volume. You've seen the reunion. You've seen the past 6 seasons. You don't defend Garcelle. And even though, Sutton isn't a confrontational person, you do get into arguments and you can hold your own. So do that for someone who's defending you as well. That's another breakup that I was surprised about. Garcelle and Sutton. I didn't really think that Garcelle would ever drop Sutton as quickly as she did, But I do feel like they will probably be back to being friends, later down the line. Garcelle just needs a break. I know that Garcelle most likely still loves Sutton, because how can't you love somebody that you were close to for so long? Hell, you all know the breakup that me and my former co-host went through. Well, not a relationship breakup, but a friendship breakup. That broke my heart when JT cut me out. And unlike Sutton, I really don't know what I did to him. I don't know what I did to him. When I called him and texted him and I said, "Hey, what is happening between us?" He said it was all on him, that he needed to he was going through something. So I was like, okay, so I fell back. But, I reached out to him on his birthday. I called him and he just responded with a text message. I tried, but I'm not going to keep trying. I got the hint. You don't want me in your life. So maybe I'm a son. I don't know. I don't know. But that broke my heart. I always say friendships, when you break up with a friend, is worse than breaking up with a significant other, because friends are supposed to be with you through thick and thin. And your spouses too. But when you break up with a spouse, you fall back on your friends. What if you don't have a spouse to fall back on? I didn't have no one to fall back on when he started, treating me a certain way. It was really, really shitty. But wish him the best. But do I think him and I will be friends again later down the line? Mm-mm. No, not me. No. I do see Garcelle and Sutton being friends, but I see, when you show me your hands once, I see who you really are. So wish them the best, and we won't be as close as we were. I'll say that. Maybe we'll be friends, cordial, but not as close as we were. But for Sutton and Garcelle, I don't know. I'm holding on hope. Maybe Garcelle feels the same way I feel about JT. Maybe she feels the same way about Sutton. But I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, yesterday's premiere, Beverly Hills premiere, we didn't see the new housewife, Amanda. We didn't see her. She comes on next episode 2. And we also didn't see the new friend of the show as well. I don't know when she comes on. I forgot her name, but we didn't see her as well. We just saw, Boz, Dorit, Kyle, Sutton, and Erica Jane. And like I said, it wasn't really much happening, but I did enjoy it. I was doing other things while the show was on, texting and blogging and things of that nature. But, it was enjoyable. I like Beverly Hills, so it was enjoyable. Even though Garcelle wasn't on, I love Garcelle. I still found the premiere enjoyable to watch. I do think that the season might be boring. I have a feeling that I know that Kyle, Dorit, and Erica are feuding with each other right now over some repetitive bullshit. And I don't like repetitive bullshit. I mean, I don't mind a fight happening, if a fight happens this season, it lingers on to the next season and maybe the third season. But when it's been happening for 6-7 years, I get tapped out. Like Married to Medicine, that premiered on Sunday. And I enjoyed that premiere as well, but their drama is also repetitive to me as well. Simone versus Quad. Oh, not another season of this. We all know that Quad is not really friends with any of these women unless they're filming the show. Simone, stop beating a dead horse. Quad is not your real friend. Quad doesn't want to be friends with you off camera. Stop trying to force Quad to see that. You see it, Simone. The audience sees it. Stop bringing it up. We do not care about this no more. We don't. So Quad invited Simone, for those who watched the premiere on Sunday, the season 12 Married to Medicine premiere. Quad invited Simone to her birthday party, but 2 hours before the party started. Simone felt, shaded, as anybody would, and wanted to confront Quad the next time she saw her. Simone, it was really not worth confronting her about. Because on the reunion, you two called each other nasty bitches and ugly bitches and broke bitches. You two didn't really leave off on a good accord. So it's not really shocking that she was being shady and inviting you 2 hours before her party. I don't know. Just who she is. Why even bring it up? Why? And I think that Simone probably brought it up because the other women didn't know why she wasn't in attendance. But she could have just said, hey, Quad invited me 2 hours before the party. That's why I wasn't there. She didn't need to go in on Quad and announce it to the entire group what happened, I'm just not interested in the Quad versus Simone story. And I'm also not interested in the Toya versus the Heavenly story because we have seen that for many, many years as well. And I love Toya down. I think she belongs on Atlanta Housewives. Um, I'm not interested in that, Toya. Like, we all know Heavenly is a vile person. She's nasty. She's evil. Why do you have to keep fighting with her? The thing is, these women drag each other. They say that they go low with each other, which is good for us. But it's repetitive. You're saying the same low blows that you said 2 seasons ago. I think that this show needs new women. We need new full-time women. We need new drama. And it's good for new watchers, but for people who've been watching for the past 12 years, it just gets a little tiring. I see one more season of Married to Medicine before it's put on pause. They unless these new women, Angel and Brandy and Mimi, those are the three new women that joined Married to Medicine. Unless they stay on the show and contribute to the show, maybe it will keep me. But Married to Medicine doesn't really hold on to new people that often. We always have one season's wonder for some reason. And so yeah, but I did enjoy the premiere. I know I sound like I'm bashing the show. I enjoyed it, but I'm just like, all right, how much longer are we gonna tolerate Simone versus Quad? Because at one point, one of them gotta go, and I'm saying Quad gotta go. I love Simone. I don't like Quad. Never did. I always team Mariah. Never like Quad. We gotta start getting rid of some people. Dr. Jackie, she's boring and she's rude too. She called that girl out for her thyroid. She said, "Is your thyroid enlarged?" Who says this to somebody if you just meet somebody? Rude. She gotta go. Quad gotta go. And who else is on the show? Um, and got Dr. Contessa. I never was a fan of her. I don't get her. She gotta go. I don't know why she came back. But yeah, we gotta revamp Married to Medicine. We gotta bring in new blood. Bring back Mariah. I like the Anila girl. Bring back Anila. Um, and yeah, so well, that's the show today, guys. I went through it fairly quickly just because I had no one else to talk to about this. I'm just talking to myself. It's like masturbating. So, but I'm doing it publicly. Um, Next week, David will be back on, and the guest that we had on for this week's show will be on next week's show. So thank you all for listening to today's episode, and we will be back next Friday. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.